TPR.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the August playlist. I don't know how much of this is in, how much of our housekeeping and admin discussions and catch-ups are in this. लेकिन yeah, episode 199. क्या बात है हमारे को
199 आ गया मैं. वाओ,
आपकी सिलेक्शन हो
knowing
गई
my luck, डबल सेंचुरी से पहले ही आउट हो गए.
Yeah, so this is the August playlist, released a bit late for Muharram considerations. Did the song output go down जैसे रमजान में नीचे हो जाता है? Muharram में does
I
it
think
go
so
down?
जाती है. Like I think पहले 10 दिन तो at least. Some people will hold until after, though I'm seeing more releases in the second half of the month.
Right.
But I think generally less so than July or June.
Because we're
But
still at
enough.
like a good 30 songs.
Good number, and many that I actually did make the cut. So quite a few songs. तो
Okay.
मैं really वही जो पिछली बार हमने कहा था ना कि people are releasing too much music. This is no longer sustainable. So that problem remains.
Yeah, I mean it's good. Well, I mean so long as the music is good, which by and large most of it always is, I think that's fine. I don't know if we'll ever.
What's your take of the music quality overall?
Pichli
as the output has increased.
Pichli playlist I found to be better than usual. Usually I'm always able to find a few, but Pichli wali, I don't know, I felt more enthusiastic about it. I think maybe part of it was maybe Bijli, because I really like Bijli. But yeah, I really remember thinking, yaar, ye is the fucking playlist, wo badi fit hai. So, and then I was like, if I say this, will Zirak think usually I don't like the playlist, but that's not the case. I mean, I've keh bhi diya hai.
I think it's interesting to me. Like, do you go back and listen to it, or do you find songs you like and then you go back to the songs, if you go back to them at all?
No, I go through the whole playlist a few times. But then eventually I settle into अच्छा I like these songs. तो फिर वो कहीं commute वगैरह में पसंद के गाने सुनता हूँ फिर. But yeah, how about you? Do you listen to your playlists once you've made them, or are you too close to the project?
The problem is that I listen to them a bunch before I make them, and then a bunch before we talk, so that thoda bahut zen mein rahe. And then I let them be for a little while. And then usually at the end of the year, I go back to make a best of the year type playlist.
Right.
Some of the songs I really like, I add to my normal rotation. But over time, that is becoming rarer because then I need to draw a line between this stuff and other stuff.
क्योंकि इसमें तुम्हारा वो मसला है ना, art versus job, like, you know.
हाँ, problem हो गया बहुत. गाने सुनना छोड़ दिया मैंने. तो अब मैं entertainment music ढूंढना पड़ता है मुझे अलग.
Right. Okay. So I sent a few things. We can go through those, and then any other
Let's do it.
things that you wanted to mention also. Because yeah, I was wondering, the first thing that was the Shamoon ka Velo wala gana Pardesi is on this, and my question was, why is this song? The song is not bad. It's a pretty decent song. It's a nice song. Gets better the more you listen to it.
That's the thing about it, right? Which is the first time you're like, acha, theek hai, Shamoon ka gaana hai. But then the more you listen to it, the more you find yourself kind of humming it. The melody is kind of catchy, but it gets you like the third or fourth time.
Because when I heard it the first time with Vilo, I was like, okay, fine. And especially because Shamoon ka Vilo 1 wala gana was much more boppier and catchier or whatever.
Right.
And this song, the first thing I noticed about it lyrics-wise was Shamoon ke sare gaane, usually, even if they are breakup songs, which a few of them are, they're like, your loss, bro. Or maybe not bro, but they have that sort of swagger, confidence kind of thing, like, you messed up, yo. This is like a sad song. They're like, oh shit, yaar, bad scene ho gaya, ab kya kare, I'm so sad, stuff like that. Paraphrasing, these aren't the lyrics, but so firstly there's that about the song, but then secondly, why did you put this in now? Because Vilo's been like a few months old.
Was it 2 months old now?
I think so, at least 2 months.
Yeah, I think so. Then we had two opportunities, right? So it must have been either the July playlist or the August playlist. I think July playlist, there's a bunch of Velo stuff in there. So I purposely sometimes I will go through half of it and not the other half. The same thing happens when people release albums. which is अगर आपने album पे 5 गाने निकाल दिए हैं, putting all 5 on the same playlist, it just makes it hard to listen to for anybody listening to the playlist. So sometimes I'll dole them out, and the rest is how much can I go through it in serious way. So sometimes I just haven't made a call on a song, so it'll sit there for a little bit. So generally, like within 2 months is kind of when of discovering a song is when I sort of put something in. So that's why it's a little bit later than normal.
Right.
Your other comments about Shamoon make a lot of sense. I think of like, it's very interesting to think about Shamoon's career, right? Like I think because 5 years ago, he was probably the pioneer of this hip hop rap singing genre in Pakistan.
Yeah.
But then he has suddenly got eclipsed by all these younger kids post 2020.
He hasn't been putting out a lot of music also. Like in the past 1 year, बहुत सारे गाने नहीं आए.
Right. And so I think in a way, like Hassan or Manu, like eclipse is probably the wrong word. It's just that they have captured a lot of the attention while Shamoon is not putting out as much music. So that's kind of interesting. Similarly, internationally, abhi AP aa gaya hai, which is like also in the same broad genre.
Sure.
So I think in a way, Shamoon finds himself in a space that is suddenly much more crowded than it used to be. Because if you think about it in a just kind of rock environment, and Shamoon's the only thing that comes up, and he's putting out his kind of like indie bops, Shuru Wale, jo uski album thi. So that was very different. And a lot of people got really into it, but now I think it's kind of more of the same. So he has to lean into something different. So maybe that's why the song has gotten more serious, because he also has to act kind of like an elder statesman, right? Like
perhaps.
If Hassan and Manu are going with all the swagger, your loss type thing, you know? So like in a way he has to come in with like thoda aapko graduate karna padta hai. Maybe it's that. Also, it's interesting that it's on Velo, because when Bilal Maqsood was producing last time, there's a quote about Shamoon where he's like, हाँ Shamoon का नहीं मुझे समझ आता कि वो क्या करता है, तो मैं उसको कहा कि तुम करो, ले वो चलता है लेकिन मुझे I don't understand it.
Really?
And I think he meant it in a complimentary way, which is just that this is the kind of music that I would not be able to create, but it clearly works, so I just let him do his thing. Which I find that really amusing.
Right.
He was just like, Shamoon, tum karo. So I think this one is also, did he produce it or did somebody else produce it? I think it was him.
Who, by him you mean Bilal Maqsood?
Shamoon.
Oh, I don't know. I did not look into it.
I'm not sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if he had done it himself.
Do we is Shamoon कैसे पता चलेगा? हम जाएं परदेसी पे हम आ गए, and then add to playlist, go to song, radio, show credits. Produced by Shamoon. Yeah.
I find the Spotify credits you looked at.
Spotify credits, yes. Sorry.
I found the YouTube credits tend to be very detailed usually with Desi songs.
Achha.
But this one, agar produced pe likha hai, if the field is not empty, then it's usually good. But mostly I find that the fields tend to be empty.
Okay. Pardesi song. Ab YouTube pe to obviously there's 800,000 Pardesis. Oh no, there you are, Shamoon. Jaldi se hum isko rok le. Written by, composed by, produced by Shamoon. Yeah. Director of photography. अच्छा बाकी सारे credits. Super video credits तो खत्म ही नहीं हो रहे. Finance तक जा रहे हैं. IT, data management, audio management, lyrics, advisory. Creative agency Ogilvy. Is there something that Ogilvy does not do in Pakistan? But
are they as big elsewhere in the world?
I don't know, because जब मैंने पाकिस्तान में उनके बारे में सुना था many years ago, early 2000s, Ogilvy, तुम्हें Ogilvy का नहीं पता? I was like, I'm sorry, but वो impression तो ऐसा था कि भाई दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी creative agencies में से होगा ये. I never heard of them again outside of Pakistan. That is, so I don't know. Maybe they are. Write in Ogilvy if you are. But
आप सुनते ही होंगे हमें. By keeping tabs on the hottest media properties in the country. तो आपको.
Yes. So yeah, but how? So you think the song is his attempt at consciously cementing his I'm a more experienced artist than everybody else, so I need to change my sound accordingly kind of vibe, which is possible.
I don't know if it's conscious or not. I think it makes sense if that is what is happening,
because he's older himself as well,
right? I think even subconsciously it can be sort of, if you're starting something where you're new and then suddenly everybody else has started doing it also, then it only makes sense that artistically you might want to change a little bit here or there. So I think like it makes sense if it's going, if this is the start of a direction. It's possible also that he just made one sad songs और उसके बाद वापस आ रहा है, तो फिर हमारी सारी theory वही पे पानी फिर जाएगा.
Yeah, no, that would be great
when
if
we
the next song from Shamoon is like on second thought.
हाँ बिल्कुल, मैंने आपको सुना और आप लोग बिल्कुल गलत हैं. It's interesting about like 15-20 years ago when these like first Indus music type albums were coming out, I would read in reviews that they would look at the last song as a foreshadowing of the sound of the next album, which turned out to be totally not true as a theory. But I don't know why it was.
29 is like 30 and 59 is like 60. I don't know why that came to me, but yeah.
I also enjoy that you made this metaphor with English numbers just to make sure that you.
Yeah, trust me, I know them. But yeah.
आप बताएं इनको उर्दू में फोन नंबर अपना लिख लेंगे.
वो जो है स्वाइनरी वाली वो भी तो थी, the real 77 have you seen a small v wali? Anyway, going off the rails. लेकिन हाँ, okay, was this ever true? I think that's like really, I don't know why you would do this, because अगली album तो इंसान को पता नहीं कब आएगी, ये वाली चले ना चले. Very weird. But okay, good song. लेकिन overall, usually I have felt I'm very thoroughly embracing वो वाला थी ना कि before I say कि I don't like something, I should consider the possibility that this is perhaps not for me. तो शमून के गानों के साथ मैंने ये बहुत करना मतलब यार ये कैसा गाना है, नहीं मे बी आई एम ओल्ड, तो इट्स ऑल्सो पॉसिबल. तो इस गाने के साथ मुझे ये नहीं लगा, तो मे बी नाउ शमून इज ओल्ड.
बेचारा, तारीफ करते हुए भी it's almost as if we're like adding him, you know.
Second song bro, हमें तो I think KP की citizenship मिल जाएगी if there is such a thing, क्योंकि खबरदार is the next song that I want to talk about, which is again, if I'm not mistaken, a Pushtu song. Very aggressive, hip hop, full flex type Ghana with Umair. Uppercase Umair is on this song, spreading his reach. Oh, are these guys part of the YSU?
Hashim is.
Achha.
I don't know about the other person. I don't think so. So Hashim and Umair have worked together before. I think a couple of years ago, which in Umair time is like last decade. है ना, जितने वो गाने निकालता है. तो I think they have some link, and I think Hashim Nawaz was also on Jokhe's album. So I think he's part of the full circle, but है तो अब Pindi. He's more linked to the Pindi boys now.
Yeah. अच्छा हाँ, that is who he is. हाँ, because मैंने वीडियो भी देखी इस गाने की जाके. This guy seems familiar. Okay.
So अब हमें बनाना पड़ेगा एक वो ग्राफ ना जिसमें कि लिंक्स कौन से किधर तक है. It's very complicated. It's also because some people have similar enough names that you begin to get confused.
No.
But anyway, so it's Hashim Nawaz here. It's funny, उसमें Hashim की एक line है बीच में, but there's a Pushtu bit, and then he starts rapping, and in his bit he's like, मुझे Pushtu वाली का समझ नहीं आई, in more colorful language. And I was like, oh, this is somebody is saying what I am thinking.
Yeah. But I also found, speaking of lyrics, when you hear about Pakhtun culture and everything, तो मेहमान नवाजी is like a big theme. गाने में भी डाल दिया कि सबसे अच्छी मेहमान नवाजी. मैंने कहा यार अच्छा चलो. This is like not really going too deep, but yeah, the song overall, I think immediately पश्तो डाल दो ना किसी भी genre में, at least the feeling that I'm getting, it completely adds to that genre in a way that perhaps just the music cannot. Like it makes it like, if there's a Pashto rap song, if there's a Punjabi, Urdu, whatever rap song, the Pashto rap song, just because of the language ki apni rhythm perhaps stands apart in terms of feeling for me. Could also be me exoticizing the culture / language, but I think it's very different.
The tonality changes, and I think what tends to happen here also is that people from different cultures go to different melodies. naturally.
Yeah,
जैसे वो
yeah,
ये U2 वालों ना, तो बोनो का एक वो लाइन है, कहते हैं guitarists always go to this key. And it's
right.
just that, like, depending what instrument you play or what language you speak or what things you've heard, there is a type of melody that you will lean towards naturally. Like joke है ना, like if you're 14 and you liked a song, you spend the rest of your life trying to learn to play that song. आप वही गाना
Right,
बार बार बजाते रहते हैं.
right, right, right,
And
right.
so there's lots of theories like this, but basically I think people tend to produce one kind of melody more than another. So maybe it's just what we're hearing is not even the language, but
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
But I think the language definitely for people that are less familiar with it adds a different kind of flavor.
yeah. क्योंकि I think Pashto की language roots are also different from the perhaps common roots that Urdu, Punjabi, Hindi have. I think they have more of a Eastern connection, whereas Pashto seems to be more Farsi adjacent. Like Farsi is like a much bigger part of the Pashto makeup,
Right.
perhaps, than Urdu में जो थोड़ा सा एक हिस्सा है. I think
Yeah.
so maybe that is. किसी qualified बंदे से भी पूछ ही लेंगे कभी. Do you know any
फिर
linguists?
उनसे कहेंगे कि ये take it over.
हाँ क्लिप आ जाएगी उनकी एक बीच में. We have a clip. But yeah, more Pashto music coming out. Do you feel?
I think so, much more than before.
Yeah.
Certainly much more that I'm coming across. So हो सकता
Okay.
है कि like it's just that my window has opened up enough to get to it. But I think what's happening is perhaps the amount of Pashto music that is happening in the genres that like Lahore and Karachi are listening to is increasing. So rap or ye thoda sa, Zahoor style, like kind of
Right.
pop. I
Right.
think more of that is happening than has happened before, maybe.
Huh.
Um, as the kind of like post-COVID, like remote collaboration type things are working and the scenes are getting more fluid between different cities. So I think we're seeing more of that happen now. And I think perhaps people are a bit more confident of dipping into their own languages as they see the success of the other languages. So
it
like
can work. Huh.
Karachi mein te log Pashto bolte hain, so you don't need to go to
Sure.
KP to get Pashto songs, right? So it's
Yeah.
possible
Yeah.
that people
Yeah.
in other places are producing Pashto songs as well, or producing Punjabi songs or Sindhi songs. So I think maybe that level of the scene is maturing enough that you can dip into that without having to have it be like a token thing.
And I suppose it's also an immediate way to stand out in perhaps a scene that's getting crowded, where there's a lot of hip hop, and sure there's a big Karachi sound, but then हम अक्सर कह चुके हैं कि all the Karachi hip hop scene has a similar sound. Not saying that they all sound the same, but they have a similar sound, similar subject matter. There's definitely a group sort of vibe to it. Lahore ka rap scene, not as homogenous leaning perhaps, but still clearly not the Karachi scene. तो अगर आप उसमें पहली बार लैंग्वेज ही बदल दें अपनी, immediately perhaps as a business decision, it might also be might make all the sense in the world के market तो है. So if people want to listen to hip hop and they want something new, Pashto might be it. And फिर वो वाली बात भी कि Zahoor की success and obviously things roll forward exponentially, where लगा चलो इसने कर लिया तो maybe we can do it.
I think that part is really important, which is that once you see an example of something that's happened and maybe you even receive support from them, like एक fortitude वाले rapper होते थे ना, Pakhtun rappers, they used to be like the one kind of the fortitude Pakhtun core, I think is the way what they call themselves. So it's kind of this like super group of Pashto rappers. So like I think that sort of thing, once you see it happen and then maybe like somebody talks to someone and they're like, oh, I can probably do this also. So I think the effect of one or two pioneers is exponential, as you said. क्या वो 5-6 लोगों से बात करेंगे, वो 5-6 और लोगों से बात करेंगे. So maybe we see that happen quite a bit. And this sort of transition is happening much faster now than it has happened before. I think because the barrier to entry of producing electronic music is so much lower, and people can learn so quickly, and there's so much music that you can draw from. I think that's probably what's happening.
Is there, do you feel, Peach, as you were saying, that you're coming across more, is Spotify, do you rely on any component in finding new songs that could be algorithmic in its recommendations? ऐसा कुछ scene है?
I do. I use Release Radar quite a bit.
अच्छा.
So मैं करता ही हूँ कि like I follow these artists. It's actually for some reason, the release radar stopped showing on my Hamnawa account, which
Oh
is where
no.
I follow everyone,
Oh
which is
no.
kind of annoying.
Uh,
But I used to use that quite a bit, which helps me find like related people. And then YouTube subscriptions also work quite well because there you get almost like a
huh.
canonical feed of everything.
Right,
But
right, right.
Instagram pe bhi aata hai. So it's some combination of everything because there's no non-noisy feed. Like
Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
subscribe to one thing that shows me all the songs that have been released. It's kind of
Right.
harder to do than you think it would be.
Yeah.
So it's pretty algorithmic. Um, but I think I'm able to cast a wide enough net to be able to argue that it is fairly complete.
हाँ 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 नहीं मैं ये भी सोच रहा था ना कि मे बी you're listening to personal music
More,
तुम्हें शायद दिखा रहा हो but
maybe it's
you know
possible.
I think it can't be कि there is not more music coming out like just
Yeah.
as a whole.
I think I have a good enough sample. Very rarely I will run into someone that I've never heard of that has like, 50 to 100,000 listeners. Like it happens.
Right, right,
But it's rare. Like it's
right.
surprising every time it happens. More often than not, I run across someone that has like less than 5,000 listeners, and then I've got onto them, and then slowly I can follow their trajectory.
I feel like this might be a great segue for let's skip one point to get to the other. Doodh Patti. Doodh Patti, I was like, I've never heard of these people. And
Good band name.
good band name, 1600 monthly listeners. So, you know, segue bhi hamara complete ho gaya. Who are these people? Bade arse baad na. Now, I don't know. Mera algorithm to tumo. I don't know ke
the biggest compliment you have ever given me.
I don't know if it's वही वाली बात ना कि is this sort of like pared back acoustic vibey sort of music, has this been lessened over the recent past couple of years that we've been doing this, or if perhaps you just don't find it as new or interesting, so perhaps you didn't feature it. So because this used to be a big thing, like Doodh Patti wala sound is, I've heard it after a long time, but before this was everywhere.
I think it's a bit of both.
Acha.
Because I remember a few songs like this were on my playlists, and I was like, I don't think I understand them. And then I was told that this is not for you.
Acha.
This is attempting to do something different.
Acha.
Because I thought maybe this, in a way, my initial read of songs like this, which was, okay, this is अब दुनिया वो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक पे चली गई, they're going more progressive, and this feels like it is kind of backward leaning. ये
Yes,
किसी और जगह
yes,
फंस गए.
yes.
And then maybe they're producing music from a while ago. And then if you probe it a little bit more, it's just that some people are still interested in the genre. And so the trend has shifted, but it's kind of like, rock or disco or funk. Is like people are still producing it sincerely. And so this is kind of fitting into that bucket. There is still some artists that are doing it, but less so than before. Jab like
Right.
Shaji was really big,
yeah,
right? Like that. Then this was the main genre of output on
जब पूरा पाकिस्तान
SoundCloud.
इंडी म्यूजिक कर रहा था.
हाँ. Now I think it is much rarer, but some people are still doing it. I think Tarboos, which is the Karachi-based band, comes to mind. So I think they're probably the first people that I think of that are doing this sort of stuff. So these guys fit right into that bucket.
Yeah.
It's like almost guitar-based indie music.
Yeah.
Without,
with not a lot of like production like elements into it, like very simple stuff.
Not a lot of electronic production, sorry, to be clear.
They also seem young. I don't know if that's just the vibe I'm getting. Did you also?
I've been trying to do some intel, and all I can tell is that they are
Funny.
from Islamabad, and that my intel has now ended.
I mean, इनकी description में लिखा हुआ है just a bunch of guys from Islamabad telling stories.
Why are you leaking my sources?
Like intel is दो दफा scroll कर लिया नीचे तक.
It was really funny. Sometimes if you read the Spotify song credits, you can find people's real names behind their stage names. So I recommend it.
I'm happy for it. I must do this now. I don't know if these guys have it, but show credits. Okay, they do have. I've heard. Acha. So Doodh Patti and the other one is Payam Mashrequi or Payam. I don't know. But this name, who is this person? Because this name is familiar. and I don't know why I've seen this name. Is this a known entity? This
And
person?
new to me.
अच्छा पता नहीं मैंने जब ये देखा था I was like oh अच्छा, and now I can't remember why. Let me go
We
and
will
find.
do some intel or find someone qualified.
हाँ, Payam Mashrequi. Oh, Payam Mashrequi was on Coke Studio. अच्छा
Oh,
जी.
was he? Okay.
Payam Mashrequi was one of the people on Coke Studio. मैं screen share करता हूँ ताकि आप इनकी शक्ल देख लें. And then you will also recognize him. This guy. You see my screen?
What song was he on?
He was just in the backing band. He's been in a few
Oh,
songs.
got it. Okay.
But this guy, I remember. Oh my god, रुक जा भाई. Yeah, so I remember seeing
On
him
his last season of Coke.
Yeah, 14. 14 में था ये.
Got it.
Because he's too young to be in any of the other. The others were decidedly seniors only.
I'm feeling that one subtext of this set of discussions between you and me is us realizing that we are old.
Yeah. तुम तो खैर फिर भी छोटे हो मुझसे, but I have realized that I am old, and you are realizing.
As long as it is in present tense.
See, before he died, Zirak realized he was old. But so that's how I know Payam Mashreqi. Okay, what a name. But yeah, this is a cool. I think पहले मैंने भी जब ये गाना सुना था तो again knee-jerk reaction is always like everybody has to prove themselves to me. For I don't know why उन बेचारों के ऊपर इतना pressure है, but I was like, yeah, ये क्या, ये तो सुना चलो ठीक है. I was like, 2 गाने. अच्छा, and you also have 2 songs of theirs. Why do you have 2 songs? We just came
like
across
both of them actually, like they were quite good.
Right.
I think that interestingly, like with artists that are new, finding both of like the first few releases to be high quality or comparable is impressive. Like that usually is a sign of, I think, some level of finesse.
Right.
Just if, for example, if you run across a lot of these rappers that have really high output, you'll run into a dud pretty quickly.
Sure.
So I think whenever I find artists that don't have that and like are consistently good, that's usually a sign of something serious. जैसे वक्त आसिफ के हमने गाने बहुत सारे डाले थे एक साथ,
Yeah.
right? And it's just that it's kind of amazing that you run into like a catalog that's solid. So I think it's worth rewarding, especially for people that don't have that much of an audience yet.
But it's sort of like they're taking it seriously. They have the chops, they have the finesse. So right, that's why they're not putting out like rough cuts, mixtapes, is tarah ka scene.
I think it also
to get the ball
shows
rolling.
An editorial eye, right? Because you need 2 skills with creative work. One is the creation skill and one is the editing skill. And I think if the creation skill takes over, you run into a few duds and you'll put out like things that are varied quality because that is just how the creation skill works. But the editing skill proves whether or not you have the chops to identify the good ideas from the bad ones. And if you're able to do that with more than one, that shows that you have some level of artistic kind of editorializing, right? In a way that because both skills develop very differently. Maine ek jagah, like I've heard this thing, I'm not sure what artist has said it, but basically like early on as a musician, you produce worse music than you listen to. Like your taste becomes better faster than your ability.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so with all of these things, if you can see evidence of both things developing, then you know that somebody has probably been at it for a while.
Yeah. Okay, that's a cool thing. Yeah, and that statement also makes sense from my own past. The other song we had was Parday by Alemam Elghandour. This guy who is Pakistani Egyptian. I know this because I saw that he had messaged us on the TPR Pod account, interested in getting the word out on his album a couple months ago, and the song I had heard this song, a very different sound. इस गाने को भी लेकिन आए हुए I think it's been a couple months. So the Pakistani Egyptian thing, I felt चलो ठीक है, whatever, right? That's just a circumstance of your life. I don't know how it's really feeding into the music, but the music is quite different to what commonly might have been heard so far in the pop scene. There's a lot of disco funk kind of vibes in it. Decidedly pop in Urdu. How did you come across this?
So I follow Is Juktai, who is the other guy on here.
Yeah.
Is Juktai is from the same scene as Abdul Hanan.
Ah,
Abdul
okay.
Hanan of
Yes.
Bikra or
Yes, yes,
Irade
yes.
fame. So Is Juktai I followed for a while. So because Alemam had done a song with Is Juktai, he'd also done a song with Hassan and Roshan. So he popped up in my
Right,
thing.
right, right, right.
From what I understand, he sings in other languages as well. Like I believe I saw some Arabic in some
Yeah.
of his other music. So his music is very international.
Right.
But he seems to have done a number of songs with Pakistani artists or like fully Pakistan-based artists recently, which is why I seem to have come across him. But I think you can see these kind of like international influences. In this one, I think it may be both him and Is Chuktai together,
Hmm.
because Is Chuktai's own stuff is also very kind of modern funk, I think. And the combination here kind of works well. It's different than what you would normally hear. It's
It's very different.
almost
Yeah.
Hassan Rahim meets Zahoor, in a way.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Huh, huh. Very cool. I wonder how many. I feel like I should look into. He has a lot of pictures up of like live performances or music videos
Right.
behind, very professionally done, everything. Um, I'd be interested because this sort of sound is, it's not super modern. The production is modern, but the sound itself is quite retro and has enduring appeal. Like danceable music, jo hai, very easy to for the such music to become popular. Very easy for such songs to be catchy. Not as easy to make such music well,
Right.
and he seems to be doing it. So yeah, I think it's great. I don't remember really this disco kind of music is not a thing in Pakistan. Like Nazia and Zohaib come to mind, but that's like 40 years ago now or more. So
Yeah,
any
rare
other?
uske baad, na? Yeah, I'm thinking, like, I think there's a lot of kind of Karachi-based
Yeah,
bands that are
sure.
not putting out new music, but that play, like,
Hmm.
jo legendary musicians of Karachi
Ha
type,
ha ha. Yes,
jo
yes,
pura
yes.
scene hai na?
Exactly.
I think
Ha.
these guys do a lot of this sort of work, like kind of old jazz bands, funk bands. So there's a lot of, I think, practitioners. I don't know if they necessarily put out new
No, no,
original
no.
music that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, they're from when, as NFP would say, Pakistan mein clubs hua karte the. Those days when everything was better, which is like the 70s and 80s. And although in my mind the 70s are perpetually 30 years ago, they are now 50 years ago. Um,
2000 पे खत्म हो गई थी
हाँ,
clock.
yeah. But yeah, so it's good, it's cool. I feel like this is a very, and usme bhi na, even in the international scene, Mark Ronson, everything Mark Ronson does has some element of disco slash funk, most notably latest song Barbie ke soundtrack pe with Dua Lipa. But Bruno Mars wale gaane, Amy Winehouse, all of that has that retro feel, and it does really well. So there's no reason to not do it. Just
In the
once
last 10
try.
years, I think it's become more and more common, right? Like I think about that Daft Punk Random
The
Access
whole
Memories album,
album,
जिसमें वो
yeah.
it was what Nile Rodgers, I think, was like
Yes, all
featured
through
all
it.
throughout. वो up
Huh,
and now
huh.
Dua Lipa using it
Yeah,
a bunch. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, uh,
Nile Rodgers भी फट रहा था उस जमाने में, and I was like
it's crazy, right? Like
everywhere.
everywhere.
But yeah, सही है, ठीक है. 10 साल later पाकिस्तान में भी आ गया, but I hope he does more and more people are interested, and it features in things. Anything else before we move on to the biggest question of the playlist? Uh, the biggest question of the playlist is that there's a Kaavish song, and my only question for that was, Kaavish is back. I thought, I don't know, I don't know why I thought that Kaavish was not active. Maybe they weren't active,
I
but
think what they are doing is that they are putting out some better recordings of already released songs.
acha, acha.
I think is what's happening from their
Okay,
YouTube channel. So this is the Coke Studio song from
okay,
Coke Studio 10.
okay, okay.
So it's about 5-6 years ago now.
More,
So
yeah,
so it is. They just put out a studio version of the song, but they are enduring. Like they still have. I think they put this out a few weeks ago, and they have
yeah.
300,000-400,000 views on this on YouTube already.
Wow.
Um, I had one Kavish post about 2 years ago. To this day, the
Huh.
post most people find.
Acha.
It's very interesting that they have this much of a kind of enduring legacy, and it furthers the point that Pakistan mein jo sad song supremacy hai na.
Bro, sad song supremacy. Acha, Faasle is their most listened to song on Spotify as well with 5.2 million. And this is Faasle studio version. So yeah, right. Sad song supremacy, yeah, no, I completely agree. Feels or emotion गाने जो हैं वो lifeblood of the nation is actually this.
हर जगह से, मतलब ये कि गम आवर ट्विटर से लेके और
Yeah,
ट्रक ड्राइवर चाय
yeah, yeah,
स्टॉप
yeah,
अड्डा
yeah.
तक हर जगह सेम
In my
लेवल।
feels, हाँ.
हाँ,
Kavish का I
पूरा मुल्क
remember.
ही एक परपेचुअल गम आवर में है, सो आई
हाँ
गेस इट मेक्स
हाँ,
सेंस।
इट मेक सेंस. आई रिमेम्बर उनका वो निंदिया रे गाना आया, बहुत मशहूर हुआ, सब कुछ हुआ, सबने बहुत सुना. अच्छा ठीक है, बड़े अरसे बाद वीडियो आई उसकी. सही है. एंड अच्छा, आई हैड टू गिव, आई फेल्ट लाइक आई हैड टू जस्टिफाई माई म्यूजिक नॉलेज टू माई पेरेंट्स बाय ब्रिजेस टू पीपल दे वुड नो. हाँ, नयना नूर का बेटा ये, मतलब. एंड लाइक अच्छा चलो ठीक है, नाउ दे आर जजिंग इट हार्डर. Which is like, that's not what I wanted. एंड देन वीडियो उसकी सैड तरीन, पता नहीं किसी का बेटा होता है, वो मर जाता है.
वो
स्पॉइलर
बचपन
अलर्ट.
है, हाँ,
Oh,
नो
that's
इट्स नॉट
बचपन.
निंदिया रे, इट इज द
That's,
a devastating
yeah.
video.
Oh
And once
भाई.
and then you listen to the song after watching the video, and then you're like, I can't listen to that
Yes,
song anymore.
yes, that is बचपन. You're right. And चीख पुकार हो गई ना मेरे घर, ये कैसी वीडियो बना दी, ये वो वगैरह. I was like, this is a huge mistake. I should have done none of this.
Because the
But
chorus is यादों में तू while they
yeah,
are
yeah,
taking the funeral. It's just,
yes.
it is devastating. It is a very difficult thing to watch
Yeah,
and very difficult thing to go back to.
yeah. Right, spoiler, 25-year-old spoiler, but yeah, so Kavish is
My
back.
favorite Kaavish song is तेरे प्यार में.
Okay, that is also high up in their
हाँ,
thing.
this is the one with the
Ranking.
video where it's like in a big set and Arshad Mahmood is in there.
Kavish, I'm not as familiar with. I know Nindiare, I know obviously. Bachpan, I know. I've seen them with other. But I think because I don't do Kamaur, uh,
तो
I
इनकी
have
एक
no
एल्बम
sadness.
है which you have to listen to in one go.
Acha,
इन्होंने एल्बम निकाली थी, I want to say like 2010
sure, that makes
आसपास.
sense. Yeah.
The album was called Gankali, and at that time was like one of the best produced albums of this genre.
Because
उसमें
production में तो
सितार
boys
भी था,
are
गिटार.
काफी crazy. Yeah.
Right. So it was just super high quality.
Hmm.
And in there you will find 2 or 3 songs that fit,
Right.
like that fit your mood, because it's not all gum hour.
Right.
थोड़ा
Okay.
बहुत
Okay.
ऊपर नीचे भी है, but इसकी वो जाफर की आवाज में बहुत गम है ना. It's like kind of
Yeah,
like people say about Ataullah, which
yes.
is, yeah.
Yes. Ataullah has that in a much more folk way. Jafar is just sad. Yeah, like across all categories.
The amount of pain this voice can communicate
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah. We should ask him, bro, क्या seen था bro life में, मतलब. I mean, it should have been a good life, all things considered. But yeah. But good song,
So
regardless.
here's a question for you. Should these songs be in the playlist or not? These like reissues of old songs.
Yeah, I think they should, because the playlist is sort of, to use the word, linked to the zeitgeist. तो मतलब जो चल रहा है ना, अब ये गाना आ रहा है, तो people are going to listen to it, as you said, lots and lots of views, and people also want it. By that metric, like remixes वगैरह, they should all be there. Depending on if you find it interesting, if there's something to talk about. Yeah, I think so. As far as my opinion
So
goes.
because Mustafa Zahid has re-released तो फिर आओ as a 2023 version.
Oh no, but is that but उसमें ये है ना कि फिर yeah, फौरन मुश्किल हो गया ये situation. Is that
Do you think I asked you the question without a test?
वो MCQ में ना सब options भी हैं, MMCQ. Is that notably different? I was gonna say, is that noticeably different, but I don't think this song Kaavish wala is notably different. It's just a proper recording of
Right.
live-ish version of a song.
Sure.
Folk studio पे. What about Roxen?
I don't know.
Also
I can't
such a
tell how
big
different
deal.
it is. I don't know I know the melody, but I don't know the song that well. So I need to go
You
back.
haven't
I
done
just
a
ran into an Indian friend
हाँ
who was like, यार इमरान हाशमी की फिल्मों के गाने ना पाकिस्तानी वो बेस्ट होते हैं. So then we told her the concept of Mustafa Zahid
yeah
as a मतलब कि when Atif was big in some of the big films, then all of the really hit bangers came from Roxen the band.
yeah Roxen yeah.
So it's just a great throwback.
I have a great Mustafa Zahid anecdote, which I found hilarious at the time. I was in Lahore. Lahore में गया था for my first Lumen. And Rafi Peer Theatre में there was some concert thing happening, right? A few people and Rosen भी था ये वो था अच्छा चलो ठीक है Mustafa Zahid introduces a guest appearance. He's like the guest was Ali Asmat. Okay, that's not the spoiler. The spoiler is he said, "Yes, he is my cousin." As if like, हम ये सोच क्या ये दोनों cousin हैं? The way he framed it was like as if the whole audience was wondering he has to be his cousin, and Mustafa Saib was like, "Yes, you are right. He is my cousin."
It's really funny. A similar thing has happened with. Wow, there's going to be a very nerd interjection. Sergey Brin के साथ जो Google का founder है ना, उसके साथ ये हुआ. He went to this AI conference and he was like, "You guys probably know more about this than I do." He said something to sort. A crowd में सब कह रहे हैं ये है कौन बंदा? And then some people Googled and figured out who he was while he was speaking. It's like hilarious.
They Googled and it's like लिखा है शर्म नहीं आती. Yeah,
so can you imagine that level of flex?
Those guys aren't in any sort of mainstream discussion for a shuru se takriban.
Shuru se, I think they didn't like, my understanding that they weren't very press heavy, but the last 2 years they actually retired. So they are not actively, and then I think they are now like finding pieces where they want to come back.
Right. So
his appearance was not predicted, but imagine being in a conference being like,
who's this? नहीं अच्छा तो he's सब AI में कुछ ना कुछ कर रहे हैं. एक तो my new gripe is calling things AI which I believe should not be called AI. I was like नहीं ये तो large
such
language.
a horrible term.
Yeah, ये तो large language model है. That's an image generator. There are words for all of this.
Also,
everything is AI.
AI is that it gives this kind of anthropomorphic. People think it's smarter than it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
AI you can call anything AI. Like
people are calling everything AI. हाँ मैंने कुछ AI के साथ कर लिया उसमें. I was like क्या सोचा था हमने बचपन में कि AI would be. Now there's a new term for what we use, artificial general intelligence. So now I have to think of like a new thing for a concept that we all agreed upon was one thing.
नहीं वो तो कुछ हुआ ही नहीं. It's funny, like Apple did a big keynote a few months ago where they didn't mention the word AI once, even when they were referencing the exact same thing that other people referenced. उन्होंने कहा हम बिल्कुल ही different जगह जाएंगे.
Wow, rare Apple W from my perspective, but चलो.
But I think you have to mention the specific technique that you're using. Otherwise, like, what's the point?
Yeah. We were talking to somebody about new artwork and वो एक दोस्त है उसने कोई हेडर वेडर लगाया हुआ है तो उसमें शक्लें बनी हुई थी उनकी but clearly from an image generator thing because up to nobody does that apparently. Nobody makes the thing themselves.
It's so last November.
तो मैंने कहा but I didn't know. So I was like did you get somebody to do it or was it AI? He's like they hired somebody who used AI. I was like so did you pay the person or the company?
When I started working on Matan Saz, तो मैं data cleaning कर रहा था ना for my autocorrect system, which I can call AI, but I can also not call AI depending on how you. So somebody said, why don't you just get AI to fix the typos? मैंने कहा भाई AI को सिखाएगा कौन? ये this is it's so hard to get people to understand.
एक बंदा आ जाएगा अहमद इकबाल. It's me.
Have you seen the shirt that Modi gave to Biden?
No.
So Modi, I thought this was a parody, but I'm pretty sure it's real. When Modi visited the US, he handed Biden a red T-shirt that had the word AI on it, which meant America and India.
No, that is 100% a Modi thing because 2A plus B square जो उसने किया था ना, A square plus B square is Canada and India की friendship is like. Remember seeing that on Hashim Nawaz show?
No, I have no idea.
He said that Canada and India are like A plus B whole square. जिसका नतीजा, as we all know and remember and use every day, is A square plus 2AB plus B square. And he's like, our friendship is like that 2AB. And Hashim was like, what does this mean? This is just like a thing that Desi uncles do कि कोई complicated बात करके and they're like, कैसा
Now
दिया?
we know that we learned algebra to understand politics. ये असल में स्पॉइलर अलर्ट ये है कि
या
हमने लग रहा था कि इंजीनियरिंग जॉब में चाहिए होगा.
या थोड़े दिन पहले मैं सोच रहा था कि अगर खुदा ना खास्ता बच्चे हो गए and then they have learned maths and stuff and then they asked me कि why as we used to have a question कि भाई हम क्या पढ़ें, क्या फ़ायदा है इसका. तो now I know कि there are actual, हम वो देख रहे थे For All Mankind on Apple TV. शदीद उसमें मैथ्स और इंजीनियरिंग वगैरह चल रही होती है. तो देखा स्पेस में गए थे ये लोग. But now it's going to
I
be
wish
for the
when I was in school that somebody had told me that the only math that matters is stats, because that is the only math that I was like, ये तो कभी याद रहेगा ही नहीं, हमेशा
yeah
रट्टा मार के चले जाओ और
yeah
अगले दिन भूल जाओ. At
yeah.
my first job, the first day, there was like, here's a p value. I was मैं
मैं
बैठ के
देखो
p value वेकी कर रहा हूँ अपनी पहली नौकरी में.
मैं तो अकाउंटिंग में चला गया था. प्लस माइनस करते हैं हम बस. बहुत कुछ मुश्किल हुई तो हमने मल्टीप्लाई डिवाइड भी कर लिया बट नथिंग एल्स, नथिंग एल्स. आई
By far
रिमेंबर
the hardest math discipline, I will have to say,
व्हाट.
accounting. Even stats is easier.
It's hardest only because it adds new rules to things which don't make sense. Like वो डेबिट और
It's
क्रेडिट क्या
like,
होता है ना, व्हाट फैमिली इज इन डेबिट एंड व्हाट फैमिली, और फिर उनकी आपस में एक अलग रिलेशन है, उसके नीचे प्लस माइनस हो रहे हैं बहुत सारे. दैट टुक मी एजेस टू अंडरस्टैंड कि भाई ये हु सेड दिस इज डेबिट. Who decided?
I have a statement
Yeah,
that I received from an account, which every time it wants to show me a credit, shows it in minus.
yeah.
And it makes zero sense to me.
Yeah,
मैंने कभी वो स्टेटमेंट देख के मुझे समझ नहीं आया
yeah,
कि
yeah.
इसमें क्या कुछ मेरी तरफ है, किसकी तरफ है, आपकी तरफ है.
Yeah.
Who is the frame of reference?
गलती किसकी थी? Yeah, but any other songs you wanted to shout out specifically? I think good good playlist again this time. पिछली वाली was a bit more aggressively explosive, but this one had like a wider
Mid. I like how you are.
नहीं, बहुत अरसे बाद this has genres that I think didn't feature up till now in many playlists. ये दूध पत्ती, Alemam, these people, Pushtu rap. Very happy
Yeah,
to see
lots of new
Pushtu rap.
stuff.
Yeah.
Ali Setty's new stuff is
2 Ali Sethi songs, yes.
yeah, all
We
very
have
good. His
talked
new
about
album
Ali
out.
Sethi a bunch.
So that's why I didn't bring about
Yeah.
the discussion. But Ali Sethi right now is going international. He's having a moment, so it's just
Yeah.
notable, which is why they're in there.
Yeah. Oh, very
Danish
very
Rumi.
well produced. Danish Rumi बड़े अरसे बाद ये नाम सुनने को आया. Is Danish
He
Rumi?
also has a full album.
Oh, that's Sharik Rumi. Any relation?
I have no idea. Danish Rumi I discovered because he sang a couple of hooks in this YSU set of songs. But now he does his own music. So he's not a rapper. He is very much a singer, but he works with a lot of rappers.
Okay.
So he is part of the YSU. मैं YSU universe कहने लगा था, and then I had to punch myself.
Yeah, NIC
because
card.
वो
Yeah.
ATM machine हो गया मेरे साथ. So Danish Rumi is very good. He's really worth listening to.
There's
and
a song.
Aleem song.
There's an Aleem song. Sorry to interrupt you, but there was
that Sarkhel recommended, which
Yes.
last time I didn't quite understand, but this time I was like, oh, this is even better than the other song.
Right.
In fact, I like this
Shout
one
out
more.
Sarkhel. Always a bad idea to agree with what he said, but chalo. Yeah, as a policy हम ज़्यादा इज्जत नहीं देते Sarkhel को, but कभी कभार he says music, youngs के music में ना, even though he is also now 30 plus, much to our surprise, youngs की music में connection.
Okay, so I'm suggesting an episode which is Sarkhel explains young music to us.
Yeah, वैसे एक दो हैं Sarkhel. I don't know how connected he is to Pakistani hip hop, but there are Ghora on TikTok, Twitter is very deep into at least the YSU. बहुत पुराना उनका hip hop connection भी है. Maybe we could do like apart from like a playlist episode, we could do like a deep dive episode. There was a song in the thing which is Abdullah Qasumbi and Hasan Rahim in order of credits. मैंने कहा अच्छा Abdullah Qasumbi भी गाता है. Hasan Rahim singing. I was like, ये क्या बात हुई? Why is this not a Hasan Rahim song? Do you know what that dynamic is?
I think it's very much it's a collaborative kind of agreement that everybody goes with. Who is the primary credit? I think on Spotify it matters less than it matters on YouTube, because on YouTube, like, whose channel does it go up on?
Right.
So I think it depends on kind of who made more of the song. And sometimes like artists, I think, will trade also, where they're like, "Acha, humne char panch gaane banaye hain, to ye do tumhare, do mere," I think, because that's a way that they partner. So it's also kind of gifts that they give to each other.
Mm.
So I think this one maybe is like a Kasumbi led song. And other ones maybe like Hassan comes in with like
Yeah.
a, I don't know
Especially.
about the specifics of their situation, but what I mean to say is like it's possible that in some cases a producer may go in with a full beat and ask someone to sing on it, whereas somebody else comes in with a melody and
Sure.
ask someone to like produce it a little bit. So I think that changes the dynamic. But these guys have been working together for so long
For a long time.
that
Yeah. From the
that I think that
beginning.
it's from the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. चलो ठीक है. अब्दुल्ला कसम भाई हसन रहीम, if you're listening, बताया मैं क्या, what is this? चक्कर क्या है? Okay. Anything else?
Nope, all good.
I think all good. We posted the thing too late for people to get in touch. I'm sure everyone was dying to get in touch, but chale next time.
Next time we will do better.
I think that's good enough to close. Okay, ji. Bye everyone. See you next month.